Today's episode is brought to you by Zesto Audio. Zesto Audio is a manufacturer of fine analog audio electronics, specializing in modern tube design for the 21st century listener. Each piece is handcrafted in Southern California. Their award-winning products include the Andros and Tessera phonostages and the Lido preamp, which won Preamp Product of the Year from the Absolute Sound. Check out ZESTOAUDIO.com. Fine, handcrafted analog electronics. Welcome to the Occasional Podcast.
Boom.
Season 1.5.
That's right. This is the Bridge podcast.
Bridging Season 1
to Season 2. There you go. I like it. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Brian Hunter and
Bryan Beasley here.
Oh,
Where did we just get back from?
AXPONA, Chicago.
The Windy City.
And it was quite cold on Saturday and Sunday.
It was no joke. Because we are in sunny Southern California. Matter of fact, you know what? I was going to do a post. I totally forgot about this. I didn't even post it. My Uber to the airport after I left, where it was ice rain. I shot a photo out the window. And then when I landed in beautiful Southern California, I took another photo out my Uber as it was taking me home. And then I failed to post it because it was going to be a whole thing of like, because people all the time are like, how do you live in Los Angeles? You know, all the negatives. And I was like, no, just look out your Uber window. That's exactly why I live here. No ice rain.
It was supposed to be 70 on the first day we were there, but we got in too late to feel the 70.
We missed any 70.
Dropped to 30, but it was still a really good weekend in a new location for these guys, the Schaumburg.
Yeah, it was great.
It's huge. It was like a regular kind of medium-sized, to me at least, convention hall.
Yeah.
So they have a bunch of huge convention halls, but if you look at like the Anaheim Convention Center where NAMM is and CES, obviously, they're geographically more expansive. But this one was like right up there, and by far, it felt like to me the biggest audio show.
Yeah, it was perfect. There wasn't an empty space, and yeah, it did. Now, you know, Brian, this was my first audio show to go to.
Oh my goodness, it was?
Yeah, you can read all about it on AudioHead.com. What's the name of the article? You renamed it, actually. What did you rename it? Something through the...
a beginner or an outsider's look through the looking glass.
Yes, yeah, I didn't write that part. Yeah, so it was. I was fascinated with it. How did you actually like the hotel room? Because you got to stay at the Renaissance.
I was one of the lucky individuals that got to stay in the actual place in the hotel, and it was wonderful. It was nice. It was a little upscale. They had like this bird thing on the wall, so it had like art in one corner.
It did.
And then like these little stickers that had birds flying off in the left corner, which was kind of like, I think someone went a little far with that because it reminded me of like a child's bedroom.
Yeah, someone spent some time in there, though. It's funny you say that because I actually did pay attention to the art in your hotel room walls as well. Because the stuff was framed like far right of the TV.
Yeah.
Like it was very deliberate. It wasn't just like a picture of a meadow. Someone had spent some time on that. So you got to stay in the Renaissance, which was attached to the convention center. So you literally got to take an elevator right down to the convention floor. You put me at the Hyatt, which was about 2 miles away. Me and Rafe, one of the other writers.
We're working on a really strict budget, folks.
Understood. Actually, the Hyatt was actually pretty nice. But did you know that there was a convention going on at the Hyatt at the same time?
What kind of convention?
It was a My Little Pony, the Windy City convention. So, yeah, it was packed with bronies. And if you don't know what a brony is, look it up. And every night after I was done with AXPONA, me and Rafe would Uber back over to the Hyatt and got to see the My Little Pony fans in full effect. And let me tell you, they were having a great, great time. It was definitely the other end of the spectrum compared to AXPONA. It was two very different worlds.
There was actually one other thing going on during the same time. So the convention hall, as actually, you wouldn't believe this, that where the headphones section was, there's actually 3 of those at that end.
Is that right?
And one of the other halls, separate from, kind of broken out from ours, there was, I think, a dance competition of sorts. But we did this pretty fun and interesting live stream from there. Bryan Beasley and I did with a couple of guest stars, Rafe and Bez showed up. And while we're doing this live broadcast, we're in the hallway. And I don't know if you remember this, but while we're focusing, just like we're focused now on, what are we going to say? I'm looking at the meters. I'm looking at the live feed. You can check out this feed, by the way, it's still there on the Facebook for Part-Time Audiophile. While we're sitting there focused, listening, concentrating, out of the corner of my eye, I just see this figure doing a cartwheel, and this girl went by, and she just did a cartwheel the whole time down the whole hallway, and I'm just like, that doesn't happen every day. It was a bit strange.
It was like a teenage girl dance competition or something. Because there was a lot of like 12-year-olds with way too much makeup on. It was, as a father of 2 young daughters, it was kind of a glimpse probably into my future, quite honestly. And I wasn't happy about it.
Yeah, so on Thursday we had set up. It was pretty fun. We got a chance to kind of mingle with our fellow cohorts in crime and see some of the vendors.
Seeing some old faces.
Shake some babies, kiss some hands.
Quite a lot of people that have already been on this podcast.
Yeah, yeah. And so it was a good start. I think Friday had a good vibe to it. I actually reached out to our fellow part-time audiophile writers, Eric Franklin Shook, Rafe Arnott, Lee Scoggins, and they got back with me with their top kind of things that we saw from the weekend.
Plus our stuff. So we got a lot to cover here.
We got a lot to get. We should get right into
Listen to this. Listen to those papers. We've got a lot to go through here.
Can you believe it's actually printed?
No, actually I can't.
Last time I touched a sheet of paper like this. So Eric's hilarious. We all got to hang out with him a little bit more this week. But every time I get an email from Eric, it has a different title at the bottom. And
his signature is different?
Yeah, his signature is different. The ones I've seen, and the first time he sent me an email, this was yesterday, it was semi-professional fun haver. But then today, somehow, it was romance instructor. So I don't know if he just constantly changes or he's doing that, but...
I'm just impressed that he's working his way up to be a professional fun haver. Good for him.
I don't know. We all went through the room. There's for those who don't know, they pull all the furniture out of the rooms.
In the hotel rooms.
The
listening rooms, they were told.
Yeah, and they also have bigger rooms. So this one actually had a lot of really big rooms, and then a couple of floors taken out, and then some big suites on the top, and all this. And the usual formation is they'll pull all the furniture out, set up a listening station for 2-channel. They also had, as I mentioned earlier, a giant expo hall filled with headphone stuff and a marketplace to buy vinyl. So it's a lot to look at. But for Eric,
what were his top 3?
Prana Fidelity, he says, one man, do-it-all designer who no longer needs to be a secret.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good writing for you.
No, it was nice of him. A nice little quip. The other thing, Joseph Audio, that tape and Doshi tape stage, slicker than snot on a darn.
Hey-o, that's pretty slippery.
And we'll say this about Joseph Audio. I have a weird, slightly perverse fascination with the Pulsar bookshelves.
You do. You were talking about those the entire time.
So I have a thing for bookshelves.
Really
I like how they're smaller. I like how there's a bigger challenge. It's a smaller space. You got to do more. The better designers have less to work with. It's not unlimited space. So if you can make one of those guys sing, you are truly at the pinnacle of your art form. And Joseph has made these very expensive, for the average man, Pulsar bookshelves that I've heard sound absolutely magnificent on many occasions. But the floor standers are better. They are. Unfortunately, I don't know, it's just a space thing. But they're both very expensive. But I like to see that he mentioned it because he's right on. Joseph Audio makes good sounding stuff. And I can attest to that. So good on ya, good for ya, whatever phrase you use. Sennheiser, the money talks, $55K Orpheus headphones and amp. The 15th floor club lounge hosted by Kimber. was amazing. You didn't see
I didn't
that
get
one?
up there. I didn't get up there.
Here's the two parts. One, the view. It's on the 15th floor. The whole entire thing is just windows. Saturday it started to snow. They even like a deck to hang out, but the snow was beautiful. They had all the high-end stuff there. Guess what was on the far end? Bar. Cash bar, though, not open. Wah, wah. But still fun. The guy sitting there serving drinks. This system by Sennheiser is amazing. Electrostatic. It's also very, very expensive. He said $55K is, well, nothing.
Something you find in your seat cushions. No big deal. Dig that out of the ashtray in your car. You'll find it.
The case is made out of marble. The tubes rise out.
It's made out of marble, huh?
It rises out. The tubes rise out. The knobs come out. And it's pretty darn sexy. It's the pinnacle. But they also had Mr. Speakers in there.
Okay.
With his new electrostatic, the Voce, VOCE. And he's told me how to say it about 20 to 30 times, and I think I have it now. It's Italian for voice. Voce.
Voce.
$3,000 his headphone paired with Woo Audio's new electrostatic headphone amplifier, their new flagship, sounding like a really good combination, as they say. Sorry, I don't do impressions, folks. And then wired together with Kimber Cable. Kimber Cable makes really fun stuff. And he's been around forever. That company has been around. So it was actually his room, I believe.
Oh, is that right?
And everybody else was just there. So it was a really nice lounge area. So I also concur with your evaluation, fine sir.
Nicely done, Eric.
And then Rafe Arnott.
Our good friend Rafe.
I'm
my brony brother.
your brony-in-law?
my brony-in-law.
American sound room with avant-garde trio classical horn system. A true large horn setup with speed, dynamic, tone, timbre, and human touch.
Human touch. That's Rafe's favorite, the human touch.
There's no substitute for the human touch.
That's right.
And horn systems, they're so hard, so big, so cumbersome, but people love them. It's a fun way to do. It's a fun way to be. The audio company with Von Schweik. Oh, boy. I need you to help me. Bees, you can read.
Schweikert.
Give it a swing. It's been said to me like 5 times this week, and I do apologize.
Schweik. It's either Bert or Kurt. Von Schweikert. I like that. It's a little more harder. Von Schweikert.
VOC and Esoteric was one of his top 3 picks. Huge soundstage in the room, lifelike instruments, vocals, scale beyond reproach for orchestral.
Yeah, it was. I was actually there when I accompanied Rafe and Mo, 2 other writers, to the room. I think it was room Euphoria on the 2nd level, and it was Euphoria. So it was that was Friday night, and you were off doing an interview for this podcast, and the 3 of us, they let me tag along after dinner, and it was a little, after dark. And they were excited to see us because, those guys are real writers. So when we walked in, the powers that be handed the remote over to them. So they got to work the system. And we got a little tour of the whole thing. And it was pretty amazing. Like, Rafe is right on. Huge sound is right. It was pretty amazing. You could close your eyes, and it was like the band was there next to you. They had the vinyl going. They had a reel-to-reel, which I thought was pretty cool. And the room was just beautifully set up. Like, it was, and they were serving Glenlivet, which I'm a big fan of as well. So my glass was never empty.
What's the best year of Macallan in your mind?
Oh, 18, hands down. Macallan 18 might be the greatest spirit I've ever put in my body. It's amazing. So,
wow, that's a bold statement.
It is a bold statement, but we've talked about this.
So just so you guys know,
you're like a big Van Winkle fan, but Macallan 18. Man.
A lot of spirits go in this man's body.
That's right. The way you've listened to sound, I've done the same thing to drinking booze.
I am a Van Winkle fan, but I'll tell you, it's not just because it's expensive. It's because it's the one that people want to bring out when they impress you, and I've sampled it more times, and it's.
I put Macallan 18 in that class, or maybe a Johnny Walker Blue. You don't just bring those out to play. Those are good time. The audio company did an amazing job. It was my favorite night, actually, and but the best part was that they let Mo and Rafe really take the system for a full ride, and it was quite impressive. So that's also on my top 3. So me and Rafe are in conjunction on that one. What else did you like?
He liked this one, and I stopped by this room too. Fern and Roby, one of the guys, Christopher Hildebrand at the helm at this manufacturing company. They do a lot of stuff. They do furniture. He's like this industrial designer type guy who's gotten into high-end audio. He makes turntables with texture on them. The material stuff he does is amazing. The design elements, his handout looks amazing.
That's good.
It's like a real handout, and I'm
not a Xerox piece of paper.
Like I just handed you, and he has like this shipping container inside of his design thing, and he's like totally decking it out inside the building.
Sure, that's cool.
Like with all these drawers, and so he just has got a lot going on in his brain. And one other thing I have to tell you, when I interviewed him, I felt like this doesn't happen all the time. In fact, quite rarely. But I felt like this guy is like way smarter than me. I was talking to him like I don't think I can put together big words like this, man.
Nice.
He's not just big words.
Did you interview him for the podcast?
Yeah, extensively. We went off the rails. The edit. It'll have to be edited down. I think we went like an hour and a half.
Maybe it's a 2-parter.
Maybe. Yeah, but
a little tease for season 2, peeps.
But he's thinking big.
I like it.
He's thinking big and he's thinking smart, and he has a lot of big words in his vocabulary, and I like all those things. So
that's what entrepreneurs do, man. They think big.
And so he's got a pair of speakers. He's working with other companies on their exteriors and an amp company in the room. And Rafe said, intimate, organic, and warm, without loss of resolution. An honest system for real-world rooms.
I love it when my systems are honest.
Don't tell me this sounds better than it does by messing with the treble or tweaking the bass, you sons of bees. Don't lie to me. What were your top 3, bees? What do you think?
Well, the audio company Friday night, that was a blast. I also, I was there doing photography and video, where there's going to be some videos on the page coming up after my editor Brian Hunter edits them. ZMF headphones. Met Zach, the guy who started that company. Me and him got along great. He has a background in film, as do I, and so we were kind of talking about our film education, and then I interviewed him for the site's videos. I don't know. I was a really big fan of his, and his Auteur Antique headphones were really beautiful, and they came in this like stunning like box. The presentation was really beautiful, and then that's actually in the past. They're going to redo the whole, like rebrand the whole packaging, so it's even going to be another step up, so that's moving in the right direction. Obviously, I listened to the headphones. I thought they were pretty good. They sounded amazing to me. So,
I think the problem was that you really couldn't hear it because he had a pre-recorded version of your wife's voice, and it's just like totally
just tone it out. Can you do the dishes?
I don't hear anything. Is it on?
It's like, turn the volume up, bro. It's like, change this diaper. What am I hearing here? So Zach was awesome. He actually was. And what else? Oh yeah. So I ran into Mr. Andrew Jones, in the ELAC room. That accent. It's butter. What were they doing? He was showing off a new pair of, bookshelves, the debut 2.0, which I guess is the second run there. I think they come in around $300, and they sounded almost as good as that accent, almost as smart as Mr. Jones' accent.
Very, like honest. And these were smart.
Oh, he was. The bookshelves were honest. His ELACs, they weren't lying to me. And then the last thing, which I guess isn't anything new because they're like one of the classics. But since I was doing photography, I went in and was photographing some of the amps from Macintosh, and they were just gorgeous. Like the mirrored chrome and the tubes with the. What is it? When I got there, they were glowing green, but you said that they actually start off blue. Is that right? And as they warm up, they change colors. Is that correct?
On the new integrated they have that just came out, I think it's also around $3,000. The tubes, when you first turn it on, are red.
Oh, red.
Because it's not ready yet.
Gotcha.
And then as they become ready, they pop into the classic green.
It's beautiful. So photography-wise, I mean, they sounded amazing. I mean, like you said, it's a classic brand, so you know what you're going to get with them. But photography-wise, they were stunning. Some of the best photos I took all weekend. So I was pretty impressed. So those were my top three little events. Of course, besides the Winnie City, My Little Pony that was happening every night in my room at the Hyatt. Thanks a lot, Mr. Hunter.
I have.
What did you have? Yeah, let's talk about you, Bryan Hunter. What did you like at the show?
Oh man, my favorite subject really is myself.
Let's talk about you.
I would have to say one of the most interesting things that happened this weekend was my interview with Gail Martin Sanders from Martin & Logan.
Classic.
A guy who's been in the industry forever. Big, successful brand. Made it through the home theater drought of the 80s and 90s. Great interview. Interesting things. Look for that interview to come out.
Tease.
He has a new company.
Season 2.
Called Icon, spelled E-I-K-O-N.
There you go.
And he had a room with an all-in-one kind of DSP unit that fired drivers every which way, and in order to sync everything up perfectly to your earball, and it'd be really focused and timed perfectly in domain and all of these jazzy ways.
Nailed it. You nailed it right there.
There was science involved. There was a guy from Germany, I think, who kind of put it all together on that end of things. And Gail had the speakers. They are not massive, but they are a good size. That's what she said.
Hey-o.
And the proof was kind of in the pudding for me because the bass, especially the bass that came out, was like synced. It had this really tight, the high-end bass that you kind of look for that's like only usually included in the very upper registers of cost. Not always, I'll tell you, it's not always there. But he had kind of captured a good chunk of this beautiful bass that comes in, and it's like so tight you can almost feel the vibration of the waves coming in sync because it's not muddled. It's so tight. It's almost like, wow. Because, usually in real life, bass isn't that it doesn't, get a full grasp of bass in that regard. It's just like, things rumble and whatever. But it's beautiful. It's artistic when it's like that. So kudos to them.
Kudos.
Great sounding room. Interesting idea. All in one. I will never own one, though, because I do believe it's $26,000.
Hey-o. Listen, you don't need a car.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, Uber.
Why get in a car when I can just stay home and listen to this stereo?
You got no place to go.
Matt Weisfield from VPI. Interesting story. Interesting family history. Turntables from $4,000 up to $40,000. They make high end to the low, the middle end, and they're doing a good job. They're making interesting stuff. Crazy good stories. They did not have a room per se, but they were in rooms.
Gotcha.
They were in rooms, and Matt...
I think I definitely saw a few of them.
Just had a baby.
Oh, congratulations, Matt.
Yeah, congratulations to Matt. And he still made it out to the show.
That's impressive.
And he's hilarious. He told some funny stories. And I said this before, but this is like so funny to me. And for a father like you, it's probably a horrifying joke. But he just had a child, and he's had, he's a Facebooker.
Okay.
And so he sent out a photo of one of their VPI boxes, tightly sealed, nicely done. And he's like, the child is here, implying that it was inside the box. And to me, I almost laughed till I cried, but I think some people didn't think that was funny. But I thought it was hilarious, so good on ya. Have I said that twice now in one episode?
No, I don't think so. You can always edit the first one out, because that's where it goes right there. Perfect spot.
Garth Powell.
Mr. Powell.
I think that he's...
Audio Quest, right?
That is correct. I think that he's a little bitter about Wayne's World. No, he mentioned that after that movie came out, now he's like always associated with it, and I do feel bad for him because that character wasn't he's no BP, he's no Brad Pitt, he's not No,
but Garth is pretty big. I mean,
it's big.
I don't think that if you're named Wayne, you're going to get associated with Mike Myers, but Garth, you're definitely Dana Carey.
Touche, exactly.
Sorry, Mr. Powell.
So he
party on.
He is a designer.
We're not worthy.
Sure, he's gonna thank you. It's like rubbing salt in the
from
wound.
The late '90s. Nothing like a Wayne's World throwback joke to really get it going.
For those of you who are on the younger side of things, that was huge in the '80s. Oh.
Well, it wasn't even the '80s. This is actually the '90s.
Oh, sorry, '90s.
Right.
Yeah, wait,
mid '90s, yeah.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge fan of SNL. You should know that. That stuff was that's landmark stuff. And they made a movie out of it.
They sure did.
So Garth Powell, he's working on power conditioners and some interesting cable stuff for Audio Quest right now. And I got a chance to sit down with him. He is a prolific jazz drummer. And he plays around the LA area now. And to be honest, he's a really interesting guy, and he killed it. He was interesting. He wasn't dry. He's a great listen. Look for that one too. Coming out this season, season 2.
By the way, Wayne's World came out in 1992. So we're probably both right. That means the SNL skits are late 80s.
Thank
but
you.
The movie came out in 92.
I knew you were wrong the whole time.
No, we're both right is the correct answer to this. We're not worthy.
Also, I think one of the highlights for me, at least, was the MoFi room. Now, they have a TAD speaker in there. It's another bookshelf. Sorry to go off and off on
Listen,
bookshelves.
you love bookshelves. That's all right.
This guy is $16K, though. The Micro Evolution 1 in the new finish, titanium silver, first ever in North America. It's been unveiled the first time ever in North America. Wow! Anyways, it sounds really good. The bass is amazing for a bookshelf. It crushes it. And he played a trick on me.
What did he do?
Not the shocker like you're thinking. You're sick. Usually backs what they call the front end, the source end. The loudspeaker being the back end. With like $60K worth of amps. It's a high end. It's a $16,000 speaker. They put a bunch of expensive gear behind it.
As you should.
So I come in there and I listen to Milky Chance. It's the name of a new band. They're actually on the radio.
Okay. And then you good?
Stolen Dance. You want me to sing a few bars?
Yeah, please. Yes.
Air won't brew, we can take it on the floor. Never felt like this before.
I know that
They
song.
don't talk about it. Thank you.
That's awesome.
You didn't know that thousands of people used to pay to hear me sing. Can you believe that?
I wouldn't go with thousands.
Tens of thousands.
Maybe tens of tens.
Well, it sounds like about 5, but anyways, that track.
Weren't you a guitar player?
No, I
you
was
weren't
the
lead box.
You son of a gun. I was the lead singer
Oh, you were?
and the guitar
In
player.
your own head? You were the lead singer. I think I'm just now learning this.
There's another singer. But I sung the songs I wrote, which was about 40%.
Right. It was
So
all
you had
about marijuana.
If you got a 40,
Sweet leaf, too.
if you heard us, you had a 40% chance of hearing me sing, and boy, was it.
It was an honor.
It was an honor.
I wish I could have been in Michigan.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So
he played this track.
yeah, Milky Chance.
Milky Chance on vinyl. They just picked the record up. Sounded phenomenal. The little treble, it was so realistic. You wanted to reach out and touch it. And then there's like this really low res like Casio keyboard sound. So it's like a cheap sounding thing, but the image was still so clear. It was like a cheap sounding Casio thing floating in the air right there
in front of you.
So even though it wasn't a high res moment, it still felt high res in the delivery. Oh,
It's almost like you could turn that little keyboard off.
I just wanted to slap it, kind of. But, I used to have one of those, and I was like, when am I going to get a real drum set? So I'm, a little bit. It's one of those sore spots, I guess.
Bossa Nova. Boom, boom, boom.
So he played this track for me. This is how he played it. I have to concise this down because this is how he played the track on me. Usually has $60,000 worth of high-end gear behind it. This time, however, this MRFer, he played the Prima Electronics i35 integrated, and it was only $5,000.
Look at that. Look at that.
Audio fooled I was. He got me. And let me just say, if there's any testament, this is a great speaker, by the way. But this i35, I think they're onto something for $5,000 because it tasty. Anyways, so
That's pretty good.
he did a good job. And then they had the other side, which was first time in the U.S., $1,000 pair of the all-new Wharfdale Diamond Series 11.
0.3.
11.3 is the bookshelf,
Oh, gotcha.
and the 11 series. So that's the one that's $1,000. All new drivers on that guy. they have a good sound for our budget. So keep it in your memory bank as one of those collectives. Jones also does a good job. I'm not going to say he doesn't. Jones does a great job. Wharfdale does a good job. And if you're rich, get to Joseph's. That's all you need to know. Any other questions? Any other questions?
Yeah,
no, shut up.
Did you? So Milky Chance, did you hear them in any other room? Did that song follow you around?
No.
Because I felt like on Saturday or Friday night, I kept hearing Peter Gabriel's Red Rain. I couldn't shake that song. Is that like an audiophile song by chance? Is that like a big song?
I'll tell you. You sing me a few bars and I'll tell you.
Red Rain is coming down on me. Just like that, right? Couldn't even tell if it was me or Shock the Monkey. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I think I heard that song 9 times. Or I could have just been drunk. I don't know.
Dude, what if you were going from room to room and you actually heard "Bees, come listen" like in his voice? Would you be freaked out, honestly, or would you...
I'd be like, man, this is some good scotch.
This ain't no 18, but holy crapola!
Yeah, it's working. And I remember one guy, one of the gentlemen, one of the other press guys, was like, "Oh man, I came here and I promised I wasn't going to spend any of my money. I'm just here to review stuff." And he's like, "I've already written 4 checks. My wife's going to kill me." So, did you have the same problem? Did you walk away with a lighter wallet but a heavier suitcase, a heavier checked bag?
I tell you what, I have this safety mechanism that I do where I pack my stuff to the very brim.
Smart.
No room.
Smart.
Nothing.
I was actually kind of mad at myself. I didn't know that there was going to be like a vinyl market, and it was everything I could not to go start looking through those bins, because I would have found something and then I would have had to gone to a FedEx and spent $50 packing it so it doesn't get broken. So I actually did the exact same thing, but not on purpose. And I was mad at myself.
I will say this. On the way back home...
Oh, yeah. We didn't talk about... Should we talk about how you sat next to patient 0 on the way out there?
Oh.
How was it on the way back? Did you also sit next to someone who was vomiting uncontrollably?
On the way out there, and no offense to anybody who gets sick and still has to travel, I do feel
Like
bad
everybody.
for you. But this guy next to me, it wasn't just like a dry... It wasn't just like a dry cough, okay? It was
wet.
It was a wet cough.
It was wet and mucusy.
And he was like, it wasn't just that he was coughing. It was like coming out of his face, raw sleeve, grossness. Yeah. And I started leaning outside. You
were on the aisle.
I was on the aisle. He was in the window. I started leaning outside towards the aisle to like get some non-germ filled fresh air. And I turn off my spout so the air won't shoot in my face.
Smart.
And he's just like giving me the dirtiest looks. I'm like, bro, I should be the one giving you the dirty looks because you're the one with the dirtiest soul.
Now, obviously, this person was sitting right next to you, right?
No,
there shouldn't have been a seat between you, right? He was sitting basically on top of you. Correct?
I was supposed to have a human shield there, but that person decided to move their seat.
When I checked in, like middle seat, no thank you. And I moved myself a few rows up and got an aisle as well.
You were my disease shield and you let me down.
I totally did.
So on the way back.
Yeah, what happened on the way back?
I'll tell you this little secret. And on the way out, this woman, and correct me if I'm wrong here.
Okay. Always do.
I'm going down the aisle. It's my turn to put the suitcase. It's packed. It's sold out. I put my very heavy bag in the upper compartment. And the woman behind me, she goes, "Oh, I guess chivalry is dead." And I'm like, "Sorry?" And she's like, "My seat is right there. That's my compartment." Now,
was your seat there too, or you just? Like,
I was down a little bit, but everything was filled, so I had to put it forward more.
Hey, bro. I mean, if you're in front of her, you're in front of her.
So I look at her and I say, "Ma'am, I will help you find another space for yours." But I did not remove my bag, so I stood firm. And then I sat in my chair and felt guilty about it for the rest of the trip.
As I can tell. I don't. Did you find a space for her bag?
There's one like 2 feet to the left.
Oh, so it didn't even matter.
It did not matter.
Oh. I don't know. I mean, like, you're supposed to be a mind reader and know that that the woman behind you is. I mean, people are weird. Who knows?
Well, I personally think so. Here's my rule: first down the aisle gets the space.
Oh, 100%. Why would you don't know?
Yeah.
I'm used to flying Southwest, where you just sit wherever you want. So There's no weirdness about like my chair is there. Like, no, they're all my chair. So I just I put it wherever I want. Boom, baby. And I paid for the early bird, so I get in there early.
I still like fighting with people. I don't like that lady too. I'm like, hey man, I just want to sit in the. I wish I could fly first class. I'm more.
Then you can look down on people the way you're meant to be.
I'm champagne tastes on a Bud Light budget, dude.
Understood.
I'm like, I just like
It
more
is nice
space
up there. It's nice up there.
I like the camaraderie of human life, but not in a metal tin can flying through the sky.
True.
So on the way back, 2 people sitting in front of me.
Okay. Who had their own bin space.
There was I'm just sitting there. I'm doing the aisle thing again. I'm looking forward, and all of a sudden I open my eyes, and there's a woman holding a pamphlet of loudspeakers, like high-end loudspeaker pamphlet, and I'm like, no way. This couple went to the audio show from Los Angeles to Chicago just for AXPONA. They had this pamphlet. They're gonna go back home and make their choice of speaker after hearing whatever, and they looked happy. They started talking up the stewardess about what a good time they had. I'm like, dude, this is it. Couples.
It's a great show.
Doing things, breaking the mold, doing it together, having just a great weekend. We're going to the show. That is like, man, I was like feeling it. I was feeling the love. I was feeling the love from the community. So
as you should. It was a great show, man. There was never a time I wasn't on the show floor where, I mean, it wasn't like too packed that you felt claustrophobic. It was like the right amount of packed. And I thought, I go back to what you said earlier. I totally agree with you that the space was a great space. Like it, I feel like the industry fit perfectly in there. There was never a dull moment either. Like there was lots of stuff happening. As a matter of fact, I feel like on the flight back, I did the opposite. I was looking at the pamphlet going like, man, I missed so much stuff because I was working. Thanks a lot.
I would also like to give props, a dual-edged sword, to the gentleman. There was a live music guitar guy playing in the hallway.
He was good too.
He was a phenomenal player.
He really was, and he played for hours.
Oh, all day.
Like, that's not easy.
No, the fingers, they get sore.
Man, pulling out the Zeppelin.
And I think he had a looper. So he would like play the
Is that
background
what it was? Yeah,
and then play the lead over it. And he was like nailing it to the wall.
He really was. It was beautiful.
But I was also trying to do podcasts at the same time.
Yeah. So you were like, stuff it, bro.
No, it was not like stuff it. But you might be able to hear a sample of his music in the background.
There you go. A little bonus for season 2.
Yeah, the background music, not edited in ever.
We should have gotten his name. You could have given him credit.
You know,
Podcast score by.
Podcast score, dude in hallway.
Two doors down. So, I mean, overall, the show was a huge success, right?
By my measuring stick.
And what's next? Munich? Can we talk about that?
Yeah, we got Munich.
You're thinking about going, right?
No. Munich is next. We won't be attending, unfortunately. But after that, we're going to see Rocky Mountain in Denver. Always a fun time. Marjorie runs a great show out there.
She does. It was a pleasure meeting Marjorie, too, actually.
Oh, you met Marjorie?
Yeah, she stopped by Saturday or Friday night and had drinks with us, with the part-time audio crew. I think you had left to go do an interview in the evening, and so she sat down and had a few martinis with us. And she, because her big thing was like, people ask me like, you run the other show, why are you at this show? But I'm all about helping the industry, and I'm here to see what's new and what's good, and we try to implement all the things that we like into our show. And I thought, man, that's exactly what you should do. And don't isolate yourself, be part of the community. And she was a real sweetheart, actually.
Yeah, she's a nice lady, and I've said this before, I like nice people who do nice things. I like people who share a community idea instead of
she's about pushing the industry forward.
Yeah,
not trying to close it off
or make a quick buck.
It's true.
There are companies, not really companies, but there are individuals who look at this and say, man, I'm going to make me a quick buck. They don't last. Their reputation eventually catches up with them. But Marjorie's been around. She's looking to raise the profile of the entire industry, and she deserves all the success that she's had. She's a wonderful lady.
She is a wonderful lady.
There were a couple of no-shows at the show.
I mean, the industry's not that big, so when one of these bigger companies doesn't show, it does. There are some ripples, right?
And we also very sadly are seeing a shutdown of a few companies.
It happens.
A moment of silence for the wonderful AXPONA company who used to make these killer DVD, Blu-ray, and then Blu-ray 4K players, and they made a great attempt at trying to reshape the headphone market. They just announced recently that they closed. They were not there, and we missed them sorely. They were a wonderful, nice group of people, and they made some great stuff. They made great DACs, great headphones, but they're shutting their doors, so they were unfortunately absent as well.
Here's a little malt liquor being poured out for you guys.
I think they're worth a Macallan 18, to be honest.
God, no one's worth that. Come on, dude.
You're like, as the drip comes out, you're like, that's $50.
Yeah.
Splash.
No, that doesn't touch the ground. So let's talk about Lee. What did he like?
Lee, we'll end this show with Lee's kind of takeaways. Audio research, REF 160 monoblocks. Lee like. I feel like that could, if you had an award, that would be the name. Lee like. Benchmark's new headphone amp. Oh, heard this one at Can Jam. It's really fun. It's got a readout. It's got a lot of science and thinking behind it. Nick Doshi's new headphone amp. And then he writes, bonus items, bonus guys. Hi-Fi Man Sandara, $500 planar magnetic. The newest from Hi-Fi Man. That's a fun one. Vinny Rossi. We did not talk about Vinny Rossi yet. This man used to, Red Wine Audio. He used to make battery-powered amps, and now he's doing modular. He's got integrated. Well, guess what? Now he's got monos, and they sound good. He always runs with Harbeths, and it makes me want to get a pair. These Harbeths, he runs them close, near field style, as they call it, and he runs the room laterally.
Okay.
So it's not like you walk in and you see them across the far hall. They're closer to you on the wide side, wider, closer. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful, fun, direct sound. And he had like 3 different sizes, the small little mini monitors, then the mediums, and the giant guys. And the woodwork is simple and square, but it looks so high quality. They're like ridiculously heavy. It's just a solid block of wood. No, I'm just kidding. They're huge. They would never be a solid block of wood. But it's an amazing little arrangement that he always does at the shows. And he has wonderful taste in music. So great time in his room. Good call, Lee, on that one.
Good call, boss.
The Doshi stereo amp. Goble Eon speakers. Fantastic exclamation mark. And then he had a late add the Magico A3. I also like Magico quite a bit. They're like the high-end guys. Oh, and then
what else?
My final thing to say, Quintessence Audio, the new Audia from Sonus Fabar, paired with audio research in one of the main big rooms. As soon as you walked in the back, it's super expensive, but it sounds so good, for goodness sake. And I walked in, and here's the thing. I am a huge Led Zeppelin fan, but their digital stuff,
yeah,
I can't find a solid recording.
Really?
It made it sound good, but at the same time, I was thinking the whole time, like, this is a shocker of a track from like a super high-end system thing. And I went to the back, and I was like, that was amazing, but like it was a little.
Did it just sound off?
It's a little fuzzy for the system. I was like, and not that the speaker sounded fuzzy, but I could tell that the original was a little bit like I'd heard before. I'm familiar with those tracks, and they're not. The digital ones just don't have that kind of finesse that you'd expect. And I went to talk to the guy, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's somebody else's random track they brought in, so it wasn't ideal."
Gotcha.
Then he played the track. Oh man, what did he play?
Immigrant Song?
No, he didn't play Zeppelin. He played something else. And it was like, ooh, there it is. It's the money.
Stacy's mom?
No. But this is also a little bit of, not a lesson, but an idea to think about when everybody complains about these tracks being repetitive. It's because they can show you the capabilities of the speakers the best. And I could hear that track limiting the quality of the speakers. And I love that track, and I love the song, and I felt the emotion. But the audiophile track he played next, it reminded me like this is the real true high end of performance. So apologies, but really the fault lays on the production of.
There you go.
They
Should have had the red rain ready to rock.
That being said, all guys could dig a little deeper. It's slightly... I'll play this one track that everybody else plays because I know it's safe. You can dig. You can find the tracks that are interesting to listen to and unique that also sound good. They're out there. You just got to listen. And there's a lot of really good examples of that too. But sometimes the reality is that guys walk into the room and just say, play me this track that I know, that I'm intimately familiar with, so I know how your junk sounds. So I was impressed. Equally impressed. I've heard them a couple times now. I think they're 130,000, I'm guessing. But I think I remember them being 130. A man can dream, can't he?
Sure can.
They're so big.
Sure can.
They're actually quite...
Who needs a house?
They're actually quite large, and I don't have a room big enough to store them. So I had to work on the house first, and then once that's taken care of...
Add on.
I wonder if they make an in-wall version. You think?
I bet your neighbors would love it.
We actually got some pretty good distance from the neighbors here in the listening rooms.
You're better than me.
Yeah.
Was there any bleed between the rooms? I actually didn't hear any when I was in those listening rooms. Did you ever? Is that something that people complain about?
I have heard. I think the bigger issue is sometimes, and this happens to me when I stay at hotels. Electronic gear, heating units. If it's too close to the roof, sometimes there'll be like a low hum in the rooms, and people will be like, "What's that sound?" And it won't be from the speakers. The bleed between rooms, it's not really an issue that I've ever heard. I think that most places go performance room, then sleep room, then performance room, then sleep room. So
there's a buffer.
There's a buffer, yeah. But I have heard, not at this show, but other shows, where people are just like, there's an air conditioner running and it's creating like this low bass sound that's not existent in the song. I had a really good time with the PTA writers. Special thanks to Bryan Beasley across me he was shooting. He wrote some for the site. It was a very fun, interesting trip, despite the fact that, it was snowing outside, and I didn't. Here's the ironic thing: I didn't step foot outside once.
You didn't?
I never left the hotel for like 3
Why
days
would
straight. And we got some great interviews lined up for you guys this season 2 of the Occasional Podcast, coming soon to a iTunes store near you. And so there's good sounds, good times, good laughs. Not too much drama, really, at this one. No fights, no bloodshed, no tears.
No one went to the hospital, no stitches.
No one went to the hospital, no stitches, no fights, no knife fights. Although I feel like I'd put my money to be on you, Bees, in a knife fight. I feel like you're a scrapper.
I am. And by that, I'd be running as fast as I could the other way.
I feel like you're the type of guy that would like throw the headphones and like hit them in the eye as you ran away. That's like, right. Take them.
Yeah. Boom. Enjoy.
Thanks to everybody who made it an enjoyable show. The AXPONA staff was wonderful. And, we'll see you at the next one. We hope to do this all again as a group and even get more kind of fun stuff for you. So check out Part-Time Audiophile. They have just tons of coverage. It's going to continue to come out for a couple weeks here. And they'll get the goods for you, the details, the fine minutia, room by room coverage that you need and love. Anything else?
That's it, boss.
Thanks.
Thanks so much, guys.